This country has no army, and the crime rate here is almost zero. In this country, the government cares for its citizens and jails unqualified bankers. There is no oil and gas. Most of the area is covered by volcanoes and glaciers, but the standard of living is higher than in Germany. If you haven't guessed which country we're talking about yet, here's a final clue. Game of Thrones was filmed here. Of course, it's all about Iceland. Not everyone can find this icy country on a map, but its path can be the script for the future of all mankind. Iceland breaks the rules over and over again and wins. But how does it succeed? To understand the strength of this country, let's take a tool from the world of psychology, the balance wheel. It usually helps people find balance in their lives. The idea is simple: a person's life will be in the state of balance, and the wheel will roll if all aspects of life are at the same level. But what if we apply the wheel of balance to an entire country? We will analyze each part of the wheel and see how Iceland manages to keep its balance in a world that is constantly stormy. Economy. Until the 2000s, Iceland was a quiet and peaceful country, mainly engaged in fishing. But in 2008, something happened that completely changed the course of the country's development and the rules of the economy for the whole world: the global financial crisis. 2000s. 3 private banks began to expand rapidly in Iceland: Glitnir, Landsbanki, and Kaupthing. They are raising billions of dollars in foreign investments and generously provide loans to everyone: individuals, companies, and even the government. Overjoyed, the people of Iceland actively get mortgages, buy apartments, cars, and stocks. The stock market skyrockets 900% in only 6 years. GDP grows tremendously and unemployment drops to almost zero. The country is thriving. One of the private banks, Landsbanki, launched an online service, IceSave, and offered residents of the UK and the Netherlands the opportunity to open deposit accounts there with extremely high interest rates. Thousands of British and Dutch people opened accounts, entrusting IceSave with all their savings. The total amount of deposits reached up to 4 billion euros. The year 2007 has arrived. The assets of the banks in Iceland have become 10 times the country's entire GDP. Can you imagine? These amounts were 10 times more than what the country earns in a year. But it's a dangerous situation. The slightest fluctuation could capsize this boat. After all, this prosperity was built only on debt and short-term money, and as soon as foreign investors want to withdraw their money or stop providing new loans, the bubble will burst. And that's exactly what happened. The crisis of 2008 began. Foreigners started freezing transfers, clients were blowing up all the bank's phones, trying to get their money back. There was nowhere to get new money. The Icelandic krona collapsed by almost 50% and almost all goods became sharply more expensive. The country was on the verge of disaster. What have other countries done in similar cases? The scenario is pretty much the same. The government allocates huge sums of money to pay off all the debts of banks to foreign investors. Where does the government get the money from? Of course, from ordinary citizens' taxes. It is widely believed that if a major bank collapses, it can drag the entire economy down with it. So, in fact, taxpayers are paying for someone else's mistakes. But what did Iceland do? First of all, the government established new banks and safely transferred the deposits of its citizens there. However, foreigners were less fortunate. When the IceSave service went bankrupt, the government of Iceland refused to compensate the citizens of Britain and the Netherlands from the national budget. And it was not the decision of white collars, but the will of the whole nation. They organized a referendum where citizens were asked just one question: should they return the money to foreigners at the expense of taxes or not? The citizens decided. This is a private bank, and these are its private debts. Why should ordinary taxpayers pay for them? The decision caused a tremendous scandal in Europe, but Iceland's budget did not burst. You may ask, what happened to the leaders of those 3 banks that had accumulated debts and led the country to such an economic catastrophe? They were jailed. More than 20 senior executives went to prison for financial fraud and misreporting. From the point of view of international experience, it was a rare precedent where big bosses were not just fined, but really punished. Gradually, the situation began to improve. The state forgot many people's mortgage debts, so families didn't lose their houses and cars. The same thing often happens in different countries during a crisis. People lose trust in the authorities, organize protests, and feel abandoned. But in Iceland, on the contrary, society was united and the country recovered quickly. public trust and well-being. It turns out that the main ingredient in saving the Icelandic economy was the people's trust in the country, and the country's trust in people. Many modern countries with constant large-scale riots, strikes and dangerous neighborhoods can only wonder at the order in this small icy country. For example, Icelanders calmly leave children in strollers to sleep outside while they spend time in cafes. No one is afraid of forgetting a phone or keys in the door. Education is free and medicine is also free. There are no ghettos in Iceland, no sharp contrast between neighborhoods. Icelanders live in absolute stability. They have no concept of struggle for survival. Iceland has one of the highest living standards in the world, and in the World Happiness Index in 2025, Iceland ranks in an honorable third place. To make it clear, Great Britain took 19th place, France 21st, and Russia 70th. The average life expectancy of Icelanders is 83 years. Sounds fabulous, doesn't it? A beautiful country with happy people. Isn't that the perfect scenario for our planet? But what happened between that very 2008 crisis and today's happiest country? What decisions enabled this incredible growth? Let me remind you that Iceland is a small group of islands, frankly speaking, with absolutely unfavorable initial conditions. The country lies at the junction of two tectonic plates, and the earth here is literally cracking, boiling and erupting. It's cold and damp here. What is considered a catastrophe in other countries is a reality in Iceland. At first glance, Iceland's nature is a challenge, but this harsh and wild land has given Iceland a powerful environmental advantage. It all started in the 1970s. The country was going through a severe oil crisis. There was no oil here, and it was really difficult and expensive to constantly buy it in other countries. Nobody wanted to freeze here, so Iceland had to find their ways of getting energy sources. And they succeeded. Today, Iceland's electricity sector is 99.98% dependent on renewable energy sources. What seemed to be a hostile nature has already become a major ally for the country. The water boiling underground has come in handy for the development of geothermal energy. In areas with the hottest underground boiling water, they drill wells and build special stations around them. They pour water into the well, then strong steam rises, spinning turbines which generate electricity, and the steam goes back underground. That's how hot water is delivered almost immediately across the country and heats more than 90% of the homes of its inhabitants. No waste, just the heat of the earth. So water and heating are almost free for the people of Iceland. Electricity bills seem like pennies to people in Iceland, and that's because of the hydroelectricity, not without the help of Mother Nature either. A huge number of glaciers combined with mountains create powerful, fast rivers. The flow of water is directed to special turbines which rotate, creating endless electricity. This way, just one river can provide smooth operation of several aluminium smelters. Having organized a comfortable and sustainable life at home, Iceland is ready to help and share its experience with all interested countries. Over the last 40 years, more than 1,000 people from all over the world have taken Icelandic geothermal energy courses, and geothermal systems are being built all over the world, one after another. For example, such a central heating system was recently constructed in China. And it seems that Iceland is not going to stop there. The Carb Fix project is currently underway. While the whole world is puzzling over how to reduce carbon dioxide emissions from industry and cars, Iceland has come up with a way out. At special stations, using water, they turn it into stone and bury it underground. Another famous Icelandic wonder appeared by accident. Today, Blue Lagoon is the symbol of Iceland. Turquoise water, steam in the air, black lava all around. It looks like a landscape from another planet. But very few people know that this is not a natural lake. It's a byproduct of a power plant. Once mineral water began to accumulate in the drainage area, and soon people noticed that they felt much better after swimming in it. Icelandic entrepreneurs didn't hesitate and built a state-of-the-art spa complex around the water, hotels, restaurants, and launched Blue Lagoon, a beauty product line. In Iceland, even the waste from a power plant turns into a gem of tourism. So it's no wonder that a country where nature and technology go hand in hand attracts millions of people from all over the world. Tourism. Many people all over the world dream of experiencing another planet amid volcanoes, glaciers, and black beaches. Before the pandemic, more than 2 million people a year visited the country with a population of only 370,000 people. But the tourist boom began with a setback. Like everything amazing in Iceland. In the spring of 2010, Iceland literally woke up the whole world. The eruption of a volcano with a hard-to-pronounce name, which I will write here, began to raise columns of ash in just a few hours, and the next day they reached even Europe. Flights were impossible, the skies in Europe and even in Russia were closed. A true disaster. Airlines lost millions of dollars, but that's how the world found out about this tiny country. The authorities didn't hesitate and launched a large-scale advertising campaign inspired by Iceland. Famous Icelandic musicians, athletes and actors began to post soulful, positive photos and videos on the internet with an appeal to come to Iceland and see the unique wonders of nature. Locals sincerely shared their love for the country and showed beautiful places. And the plan worked. The very next year, after the eruption of the volcano, the tourist flow increased by 30%. And Iceland's economy went up again, but now in a natural way. Surprisingly, the local authorities managed to find a balance in tourism. Here, the number of tourists for each popular place is strictly controlled. The natural beauty will be preserved, and every foreigner will be able to feel themselves in the middle of the free element. Innovations. Not only tourists love Iceland, but also those who need the cool climate and almost endless electricity. All the services we use every day, YouTube, Netflix, Google, TikTok, cloud storage, banks, websites, video games, all of this runs through data centers. Huge complexes of buildings are storing, processing and transmitting data day and night while you watch this YouTube video. By the way, you can already like this video. And make sure you're already subscribed to our channel. Of course, we're not data centers, but we try to work really hard to make videos like this. Okay, let's go back to data centers. They need power and cooling systems to keep running smoothly. Can you feel the correlation yet? Iceland's cheap hydropower and cool climate are becoming the most tempting opportunity for major IT companies. Indeed, the land of ice and flame has attracted amazing neighbors. On the one hand, there's Verne Global, involved in neural networks. On the other hand, at North, supporting European banks. Right next to that, HostKey and its service for editing and computer graphics. Just like that, this land seems so small and cold, and yet so many of the world's largest companies are based here. Historically, Iceland lived off fishing, and over the years, aluminium smelters have also arrived to use cheap energy. Now, with the advent of data centers, the country's economy has become even more reliable. Security. Another fact that may overwhelm you. In a country where tourism is booming, the economy is based on trust, and energy is based on volcanoes. There is no army. And there's hardly any armed police either. That's because there's no crime. Well, there's a small exception, and I'll write the name of it here. Basically, it's the Coast Guard of Iceland. This organization has only a few ships and one helicopter. They are involved in search and rescue operations, monitor poaching and help in case of disasters. In fact, it is a peaceful and nice organization that helps the population. Actually, there is also an explanation for the low crime rate. There are only 370,000 people in Iceland, which means that in the cities, almost everyone knows each other in some way or another. It is much harder to hide in such a tight society than in New York or London. Besides, there is absolutely no reason to commit crimes here. Anyone can get medical care and education, and the state helps you when you lose your job. There is no big difference between your life and the life of your neighbor, which means there is no motivation for crime either. Amazing and sounds like utopia, doesn't it? Conclusion. So our balance wheel is now assembled. What can we understand by looking at it? Iceland has no ultra-developed sectors, no loud records and victories. It seems that Iceland doesn't try to prove anything to anyone and focuses on the life of its country and its citizens. Its economy is not the greatest, but it's fair and people-oriented. No oil, but there is land and water. A tourist here is not just a wallet full of money, but a guest, and they sincerely want to show them the local beauty. It may seem like I'm praising and idealizing Iceland throughout this video. Alas, real estate prices here are still incredibly high even for Europeans. There are not so many work opportunities, besides young people are leaving to study and live all over the world. And let's not forget the bitter cold and the neighborhood with volcanoes that can decide to start erupting at any moment. Iceland's experience is not a story of a perfect country. It is a story of how imperfection became a support and limitations became a source of strength. There's no army, but there's security. There's no oil, but there's energy. There's not much sun, but there's a lot of light within the systems. I think we should learn this unique quality inherent in the whole country. We should look at every failure as an opportunity. We should see every disadvantage as a uniqueness and peculiarity. And we should preserve and protect the good in ourselves, as Iceland protects its natural complexes. Because a truly sustainable thing isn't something that's perfect, but something that can keep rolling on, even on a bumpy road. What do you think? What aspects of Iceland's experience would be reasonable to use in your country? Share your opinion in the comments. I will read and answer everything. Radostin was here with you today. Like this video, click the bell and subscribe to the channel if you like to dive into the secrets of success of different countries, predict the future based on history, and analyze the most interesting events in the history of mankind. All of this will be featured on our channel. Don't miss it. See you in the next episodes, dear viewers. History goes on.